Hi everybody! Welcome to the third Indigo Fire Digital Studio demo. Today I'm going to show you how to make these cute small espresso cups just using slabs. It's a good project because it doesn't take up a lot of clay. It's pretty quick and you can do it at home. So the first thing that you'll want to do, as always, is collect your materials and your supplies. I made a list of what you'll need for this project in the info section of this video. And then you'll also want to prepare your workspace. We will be rolling out slabs, so as always with slabs, you'll want to separate the clay from the table so it doesn't stick. I recommend newspaper, cloth, canvas, whatever you have that'll make it so that your clay doesn't just stick to your kitchen table or your desk or wherever you're working. Once you're all set to get started, the first thing we'll need to do is create a template for the body of our mug. So this rectangle will act as the body of the mug. If you want to make a larger mug, you can just make a larger template. The espresso cup size that I used was 6 inches by 2.5 inches, and the mug shape that I find works really well is 5 inches by 11 inches. Remember that the clay does shrink, so you always want to make your template a little bit bigger than you want your actual final piece to be. Once you have your template cut out, you'll want to roll out a slab. So this is probably about 1 pound of clay, maybe a little bit more. And I'm just squeezing it down so that it's easier to roll my slab out. We're gonna want a longer rectangular shaped slab, so you'll squeeze the clay in that direction. Put it down on your surface, give it a couple good taps, and then we can roll this slab out. So I've got my 2 even width sticks or dowels. You can use anything you find around your house as well, as long as it has an even width. It's going to be used as a guide for my roller. And then I'll use a rolling pin, or if you don't have that, as always, wine bottle, olive oil bottle will work just fine. And start rolling out my slab. Since I want a long rectangle for this project, I'm not going to rotate my slab, but I will pick it up, flip it over a few times as I'm doing my rolling as well. This is definitely more clay that we're going to need for this project. You could probably make a set of 2 out of this amount of clay, but you'll definitely have enough to use to make a handle and for the base of your cup as well. Do one more. There we go. Alright, so this is a nice, good sized slab. And before I start working with it, I'll use my rib, or this is an old gift card that will work nicely as well, to smooth out any weird textures that happen when you were rolling. And I'll do that on both sides, just for good measure. And this is a great project to add texture to the outside of your mug. I went for a little walk earlier and found some really pretty branches that I'm going to stick into the clay. It's also a great excuse to go outside, take a walk, forage for some cool leaves or sticks or whatever you're able to find. And then I'm just pressing them into the clay. Don't worry if little pieces break off or you're not able to peel the leaves away, because little bits of plant matter will burn off in the kiln quickly. All right, stick them down. There we go. Over here. And then just lightly with your bottle or rolling pin, roll the texture in a little bit more without affecting how rolled out the actual slab is. And then I'm using my needle tool or any sharp tool. You could probably use a pencil or a pen and just lift up all these little pieces that you stuck in there. And I'm left with this really pretty, lovely, natural texture that I bet when we glaze this, we'll do some really cool things with the glaze. Alright, and save all of the extra slab that you have. You might have enough to make a whole nother mug, but at the very least, you'll need your extra slab to make the bottom of your cup, and also if you want to put a handle on it to make the handle, or if you want to do a little foot ring like on mine, then you would use it for the foot ring as well. All right, so we've got this rectangle, and this is the main portion of your cup. So on the short edges, that's where we're going to be attaching the sides of the cup to hold it all together. We'll need to create a surface that we can attach. And I find that by using your Xacto knife, you can create a nice surface on either side to make it easier to attach your cup together. So on the left hand short side, take an Xacto knife, hold it at like a 45-degree angle, and slice the corner of that short side off so that you have a little bit of a slant on that edge. And then we're gonna flip the slab over. So that part that you cut is now on the right and face down. And we're gonna cut the left side again, but on the opposite edge and on the opposite side. So now I should have a sloped edge here and here. And that is where we're going to be attaching our mug. So very carefully prop up that rectangle and then slowly start to bend your clay in that direction. You have to do this when the clay is pretty soft, otherwise when you try to curve it, it will crack. Then take a paintbrush with a little bit of water and paint some water over the areas that you just beveled, the areas that are going to be attaching. And then carefully, carefully, carefully start to push them together from the bottom, coming towards the top. Once you have them nice and stuck, then you can give it another pass and blend in the seam so that you can't see where you attached the two sides. This is a small cup, so it's pretty easy to get inside and smooth over that whole seam. All right, so you should be left with this kind of cylindrical, or this hollow cylinder. That's the body of your cup. And now we'll put on the base of the cup. So take some of that extra slab that you have from before, and then take your cylinder, and whichever side you want the bottom to be, it doesn't matter. Use a needle tool or another sharp tool to do some cross hatching on the bottom edge. And then use your paintbrush with a little bit of water or slip if you have it. And dab it onto the bottom edge. And then we're going to carefully stick that cylinder to part of your extra slab. And go around on the bottom and kind of firmly wiggle that area into place. You want to make sure you keep it as round as possible, assuming that you want a round cup, which you can experiment with different shapes if you want. Alright, so that's stuck down. You can use your paintbrush. If there's slip or water that's squeezed out on the inside, use your paintbrush to just mop it up and smooth it in. You can do the same thing on the outside. And then we'll have to cut this away from the slab, from the rest of the slab. So use your needle tool or your Xacto knife and carefully cut around the bottom edge of your cup. And you should be left with something like this. If it's a little rough, that's okay. Just use your finger and you can smooth over any seams. The clay's still really soft at this point, so do your best to just smooth over any seams. Smooth the bottom edge a tiny bit. And then set it down on the table. Let it rest. And the last thing we'll want to do before we start adding on handles and things like that is make the top edge so it's not as boxy. So right now it would be very boxy to drink out of this top edge, but if you just lightly pinch all around the top edge, you can thin it out as much as you want and make it have a nice surface for you to drink off of. You can try to make it look nice and perfect and even, or if you want to just embrace the rustic quality of pinching, then you can leave it kind of organic shaped. I'll take my sponge and just give it a smooth after that. All right. Cool, so that's the body of our cup. It's a little bit flimsy right now, so what I would recommend before you try to attach any sort of foot ring or feet on the bottom or a handle, I recommend letting it firm up to a little bit stiffer stage of leather hard. So put your cup off to the side, go have a nice cup of tea, take a stroll, call your mom, and then come back to it later. So I'll be right back. All right, so I left my cup to firm up a little bit, and now if you want to add any sort of foot ring on the bottom or a handle, now's the time to do so. You definitely don't have to, these are totally functional just as is, but if you want to add this little foot ring, the first thing that I did is cut out from my slab a little donut shape. I just freehanded it using an Xacto knife. And I'll turn my cup upside down, line up generally where I want the foot ring to be, and make a couple marks to indicate that's where I want it to sit. And then within those marks, I'll do some cross hatching with my needle tool. This will help the foot ring stick so that it doesn't fall off as the clay is drying. And then I'm going to add some slip to both sides. My cup's been drying a little bit, so it's getting to be leather hard. So I do want to use a little bit of slip during this stage. If you don't have slip, I give a little bit instructions on how to make your own really easily in the supplies list. And then press down your foot ring. And then I just kind of gave it a little bit of a pinch all the way around, similar to what I did to the top of my cup, just to smooth things out, make it look a little bit less boxy. Take my paintbrush, smooth off any of that slip coming out the sides. And that's that, that's my foot ring. So now I've got a nice little set of espresso cups. The foot ring kind of elevates them off the table a little bit, which I think is a nice touch. And then if you want, you can add a handle. So to add a handle, we'll use that same slab we've been working from this whole time. Take your ruler or any sort of straight edge, make a slice, and then decide how big you want your handle to be, how wide rather, and make another cut with your ruler. So you'll just have this long strip, and we definitely don't need it to be that long, so I'll just cut a little bit off the edge. And then for my handles, I like to smooth off the sharp corners because I find that those sharp corners are not the nicest for holding. So I'm just using my fingers with a tiny bit of water and just smoothing down the sharp edges. And I'm also compressing the handle a little bit, so if the slab was too thin, you can compress it down to make it slightly thinner. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Nice even pressure on the corners. Couple swipes. All right, and then I can use this as my handle. On the top edge of the handle, take your needle tool, your Xacto knife, and just kind of slice off a nice beveled surface similar to how we did earlier so that you have a straight edge to attach to the mug. And leave the bottom as is for now. We're not exactly sure how long we're gonna need it to be, so leave a little bit of extra and we can trim it off later. Leather hard is also a great time to do any sort of smoothing or refining. So if there's any rough edges that you don't like on your piece, now's a great time to kind of smooth, make sure everything looks the way you want it before it continues to dry the rest of the way. All right. To put the handle on, take your needle tool or your sharp tool that you have been using for cross hatching. Find where you want to put your handle, As a tip, generally handles are attached lower than you think that they're going to be. And do a little bit of cross hatching in that area. And then below it, where the bottom of the handle will attach, do a little bit more cross hatching. So in those two spots, take a tiny bit of your slip and dab it onto those areas. And then carefully pick up your handle. It's very dainty, it's a small cup. Just bend it in the shape that you're looking to attach it. And then we'll attach that first section. So in the area that was slipped on the top of the cup, just lightly press the top of the handle on. If a little bit hangs down extra, that's fine. And then you have this to work with to find how big you want your handle to be. So I'll line it up where I want it and then press the bottom in to that spot that I put a little bit of slip on. And then I can trim the rest away. So using your needle tool or Xacto knife, trim away the excess so I don't need this stuff on the bottom. Peel that away. And if I have any extra on the top, I can peel that away using the same method. And then if you like the look of having the handle attached on the side and being able to see the attachments, then leave it like that. But I like to just smooth in the bottom edge a tiny bit so it looks a little bit more seamless. And same thing with my top edge. I'm gonna make sure that everything's nice and straight also. And then the last thing I do, take that paintbrush and just clean up any slip or water that is squeezed out the sides. And that's it. We've got our little cup. It's so cute. All right, give it a try. Let me know how it goes and have fun. Bye.